Okay, enough is enough. I'm going to explain to you how you can get yourself out of a depressive state right now. I think it's really like got to the stage where, enough is enough, because if you think about it, you're living a belief every day of your life going, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. It's not exactly that. It's more a negative way of thinking. Your thought patterns are so negative, are always negative. Like, it's glass half empty thinking. It's catastrophic thinking. It's worst case scenario thinking. And but the point I'm trying to make here is that you need to be like, this is a journey for yourself. You need to be able to take hold of yourself and push through it. Mental illness is an absolutely debilitating issue, and it's as serious as any other medical condition out there on the planet. It's as serious as heart disease. It's as serious as diabetes. It's as serious as anything out there. Why does it happen? It's because we've wired our brains to behave that way. I saw my psychologist today, and I've really begun to realize that enough is enough. Like, this needs to stop. These behaviors, these compulsive behaviors, need to stop. And it's put me into such a massive rut in my life. Everything goes down. You must feel that way. Everything's going well, and it spirals down, 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 and you tell yourself you've hit rock bottom, or the bottom of the barrel. And I only realized this over the last few days, a week or so. And the thing is that you need to put preventative measures in place to be able to pick yourself back up again. You are living your life behaving a particular way, and you don't even realize it. This is happening on a subconscious level. This is happening for real, subconscious. And the thing is that your very caveman brain, your brain, you've got you've got a few different parts of your brain, but there's a very caveman part of your brain that releases these chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol that floods your system, that elevates you into a fight or flight response. Like nervous, like the way it happens for me is that in the morning, wake up in the morning, feel this kind of hangover feeling, like this kind of hangover feeling. I feel kind of jittery. And right from that spot, your body's already waking itself up. The biggest mistake you can do is shrug it off and keep continuing with your day. I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is make room for that feeling. Feel that feeling inside you and embrace it. Just feel it all inside you and look at it like a curious scientist, and think to yourself like, okay, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling like this hangover feeling, this kind of jittering. And if the more you don't address the initial feelings of what's about to spur you into a panic attack, well, the more it's going to digress into something that's going to present worse symptoms, more horrible symptoms, more just symptoms that make you feel like you're medically ill. There's something clinically wrong with you. And if the more you leave it unaddressed, those initial feelings of hangover or jitteriness, well, such as my case, then the more it's going to digress into, sudden onset of dizziness, sudden onset of heart palpitations, it's sudden onset of pain in your chest. And the more it's going to take a toll on your lifestyle, the way you live, the more this chest pain, this heart beating pain, not pain, sorry, this fluttering heart sensation digresses into a feeling of fainting. You want to faint, into a feeling of, when it gets really bad for me, uncontrollable shaking, violent shaking. You feel like you're having a seizure. Something's wrong with you. Like this, you need to take it seriously. Like you need to get your head out of that obsessive thinking. Get it out of that, like what you need to do is there's a method, ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, that I read from a very good book by Russ Harris called The Happiness Trap. And what it explains is that when you feel these sudden onsets of these scary feelings, when you suddenly feel that, you need to not struggle with it. He talks about a struggle switch. The struggle switch, if it's switched on, okay, when it's switched on, you're struggling with the sensation. The sensation is going to get worse and worse. The more you try to fight it away, try to argue it away or fight it away, or try to push it out of your mind, the more it's going to come back at you double-fold. So you have honestly, like I'm telling you right now, this is a pattern you're getting in. You have flicked that struggle switch on. And now you've got the sudden onset of all these scary, scary symptoms, and it manifests itself in all these different ways. You feel like you're choking sensations, maybe knee joint pain, or a flushed face, maybe a back pain. Your brain is, I don't think you understand how powerful your brain is. It will honestly tell you all these scary symptoms that are not harmful to you. And going back to my point, ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, you accept that the sensation is there. Accept it for what it is. So say, for example, you're sitting down at work and you're talking to a workmate or a customer, and suddenly you get this onset of dizziness. You can barely speak. You can't put yourself out there. You don't have the strength to. The inner strength comes from yourself. And what you need the strength in doing, when I use the word strength, you need the strength to accept. You need strength in acceptance. Accept that the feeling's there. And look at it like a curious scientist. And know that it's running in the background. And it's making you feel all sorts of ways. And while that's there in the background, you fixate yourself on something. Put down a pad of Sudoku puzzles or something like that on your desk. Do something. Look at the Sudoku puzzle, write out your Sudoku puzzle, problems, because you're using your frontal cortex, your thinking part of your brain, to fixate your attention, your focus onto that pad of paper. And you're looking at the numbers and trying to work out a problem. While there's alarm bells going off in your head going, no, you must believe me, there's something going wrong. While your amygdala, the caveman brain, is sending off all these signals of alert. You keep mindful about that. Keep in the state of, that's still happening. But it's not going to deter me from what I'm doing. I'm going to keep working out this puzzle. Eventually, you would have retrained your brain to think differently. Have you heard of neuroplasticity? Basically, it's a term given that your brain is plastic. Obviously, it's not plastic in the literal sense, but it means that your brain can change. Right now, your behaviors, your thought patterns, the way you worry incessantly about your health problems, about what's happening in your life is building neural pathways through your head, through your brain. It's building these neural pathways through your brain, and your brain will keep thinking that way forever. Not until you address the problem and you bring up that strength inside yourself. Though you can have support by friends and family, no one's going to be able to draw that strength inside you than yourself. So, what can you do about it? Well, you fixate yourself on that particular activity, notice things in the room, count how many legs on a chair, or look at what colours are in the room there, or whatever, fixate on a colour and try to identify a colour, as I said in the previous video, and keep working at it. And with your brain being changeable, you can use the brain to change the brain. And once you've done that, once you change your brain, you can look back on yourself and say, wow, I don't know how I got myself into that state. That just is so weird. There are people I know who write journals. Journal writing is so good. And you get to list all the things that are bothering you at that point in time. You come back to that journal, say, in another few months' time, and you have a look at that journal, and you can see the things you were concerned about a few months ago. You'll laugh at that. You'll think, how the hell did I think that was a concern in my life at that point in time? The way you can get to that stage of being outside of those worries is by following those steps. ACT, accept the feeling, let it happen. Let it happen in your body. How about this? Make your body a complete ragdoll. Just ragdoll your body like as if you have no movement, or you're jiggly. Just ragdoll your body, because by doing so, well, one is that you're releasing the tension, and two is that you're letting the physical sensations to keep going, and it's good that you're doing that. But when you're ragdolling your body, you turn the struggle switch off. Turn the struggle switch off, and your body is you put yourself into a state of observation, not struggle. And when you observe the symptoms, you let it go as it goes, until the symptoms subside. And once the symptoms have subsided, you're going to come out of it with a triumphant feeling, like just everything is going to be so much happier after you do that. And each time this sort of thing happens, you make yourself a ragdoll. You put that piece of Sudoku puzzle on your desk, and you solve those problems while ragdolling your body. Alarm bells will be ringing off in your head, or your heart's going to be beating really fast. Your chest is going to, feel tight. You're going to get flushed in the face. You're going to feel all these things that are going to scare the absolute living shit out of you. But if you keep persisting that way, persistence is key, you'll get yourself out of it. And this is what I mean by neuroplasticity and changing the way your brain behaves. Until eventually, your brain is creating enough serotonin to be able to light up those neural pathways that define a person from being between anxious to normal, because those serotonin levels are low. And a good way to build up those serotonin levels is by exercising or public speaking, doing something that gets your body moving. And when there's a lack of serotonin is it's not getting to the other neuroreceptor. It's being reuptaked, and that plays a huge role into the moods you get into. depression, anxiety. You need to keep that balance. Give me a sec. So what about depression? Well, I just spoke about anxiety. For me, depression came as a side effect from the anxiety. Feeling like that I'm stuck in this rut forever. I'm never going to be able to get out. Give me a second. Give me a bit of time out for a sec. And the way you can get out of your depression is by addressing the problems, finding that inner strength. It is often a common theme with depression where you feel like you're going to stay like this forever, like nothing is ever going to work out, of worthlessness, of hopelessness, of self-pity, of doubt, of low energy. But this is because you've done the damage to yourself. Now, I'm not blaming you for it. I have utmost empathy, sympathy. I've done it to myself too. And it's such a harsh issue, such a harsh thing to get your head around. But to treat your anxiety and your depression, they kind of go hand in hand. You treat them almost the same way. You can use your acceptance commitment therapy for depression. You can accept that, okay, these feelings, these unwelcome thoughts I'm getting of suicide, of loneliness, are completely normal for the way I have constructed my brain to think. That no, I shouldn't be thinking like this, but I've already trained my brain to think like this. Accept the thoughts for what they are. Don't struggle with the thoughts. What's also interesting, actually, on this subject of struggling, when you struggle with those unwelcome thoughts in your head, when those unwelcome thoughts come into your head and you struggle with them, it amplifies them. Does that make sense? It makes the thoughts louder. And the louder that the thoughts are, the more you're going to believe in them. So if one has a positive thought, well, and it's loud in their head, what kind of person are they? Confident, happy, full of life, full of self-esteem. When one has a negative thought, e.g., I want to kill myself, loud and clear as crystal in your head, is at that stage that you realise that, yeah, I believe this thought, but you need to keep a third-party observation on this. You need to observe the thoughts for what they are. You need to observe them for what they are, and all you do is you accept the thought for what it is, but you move on. Difficult, very difficult. There's a technique you can use. When you have an unwelcome thought floating through your mind, one technique is to diffuse the thought. So you're using diffusion tactics to get rid of the thought. And what diffusion is you're not, so you think of diffusion and infusion. With infusion, you're infusing with the thoughts. The thought comes into your head. Okay, so you have a couple options. You can infuse with it, meaning you'll go along with the thought, you'll believe the thought, and so it's going to present physiological symptoms. If it's a negative one, it's going to present physiological symptoms like depression, like anxiety, like worthlessness, like hopelessness. Or you can, so that's infusing the thought with the thought. If you diffuse the thought, what are you doing? You are You're being third party to it. You're just observing it for what it is. Much like the same way, say, when you observe someone on a dark night and someone's being attacked, you're observing that bad thing happening. Obviously, you go out and help them, but just take this for an example. Come along with me here. So, this person being attacked by someone in the street on a dark night. You can see that as your thought. Now, if the person who's attacking them is going to attack you, and you're the one being attacked, that's infusion. If you're diffused, if you're observing the bad thing happening. And that's so damn important. You need to diffuse from this negative way of thinking. You need to just diffuse from it. You need to, so for example, let's take this thought. I'm hopeless. I want to kill myself. Put the connotation. I'm having the thought that I'm hopeless. I'm having the thought that I want to kill myself. That puts perspective. That allows you to identify the way you are behaving. And once you do that, the thought just kind of floats past. But unless the thought is helpful, diffuse. Always diffuse. Just keep working at it. The strength will come from inside yourself. This just means so much for me because today I've made a stand and I'm saying that enough is enough. These things need to be addressed. These things need to be said. Enough is enough because this is ruining my life and it's ruining you guys' life. But there's a time where you can say no more. That's it. You stop your obsessive behaviors. You stop your obsessive compulsive behaviors. You stop and look, maybe the word stop is a bad way to put it because when you say stop, it's as if there's a feeling of struggle in that word. Stop as in like when trying to stop something, you're struggling with it to stop it. Really accept it. Accept that the thought's there. Let it run its course, observe the thought, and move on. So, another note for me to make is point out the elephant in the room. You would have seen me discuss this in my last video. The elephant is this big, huge, is basically your caveman brain, telling you why you're worthless, why you should panic, sending those fight or flight response signals down there. Point out the elephant in the room. Although you can't move the elephant, you can't move an elephant. But what you can do is you can change the elephant's behavior in your head. You keep restructuring your brain to accept the feeling for what it is that is there. Focus on something, on a simple little thing. Do something that's a bit mindless while being mindful. So do a mindless thing of writing a journal, doing a Sudoku puzzle, while the alarm bells are going off in your head. I just want to make that completely clear to you guys. I hope you understand my point. But as always, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to talk about them. It's all about identifying the way you behave and eventually just getting through it and becoming full of energy, full of life, living the life you want to live on your terms. Because mental illness is a serious thing. You need someone to talk to. Loneliness is probably the worst thing. Loneliness it's like you're stuck in your head all the time. You're introverted. Become extroverted. When you're extroverted, you're sensing everything that's in your environment right here and now. Everything that's happening, you touch something, you notice it. You get drawn in by the energy of the people who surround you in your environment and your social setting. When you're introverted, everything doesn't exist. This reality doesn't exist to you. You're a thinker, and you just stay in your head all the time. Now, there's a certain extent that introversion can be good, and a certain extent that it may not be. Too much introversion is going to debilitate you and ruin your life. Get out of that and accept your behaviors. Hope that helps, guys. Take care.